yeah, they work in social care and in tertiary services and in healthcare and in hospitals and in schools. And we work across lots of different sectors, essentially. You won't just find us in hospitals. And yeah, and as I said, very specialist. They have very specialist knowledge in their areas. And they do also provide clinical leadership at all levels. So within each kind of trust, there are clinical leaders, obviously for nursing and for medicine, but also for allied health professions. And that looks different in different trusts, but very much you will always have a director or a leader of AHPs. And my role is looking at the practice education, so those placements and the kind of development of the AHPs across the trust. So sorry, I did say I work for NELFT, North East London Foundation Trust, and within NELFT we have 9 of the 14 professions. So we don't have any paramedics. That's the main one that I know that we don't have. So I'm not 100% sure all the other ones, but yeah, you'll find different ones in different trusts. Okay, so obviously I'm here, I'm Sarah Swann. Sally Fisher unfortunately wasn't able to make it today in the end, but I will talk about her role as an art therapist a little bit. And she also is very happy for you to get in touch with her if you do want to know more about art therapy, because she's really passionate and she loves kind of talking about being an art therapist and how you can become an art therapist. And she's always supporting students in her role. So please, her email is just there. Oh, I took it off. I will send out her email in the chat in a minute. Okay, so yeah, my story is that I was a band 6. I worked in primary schools in Tower Hamlets when I was first started, and I got that as a bank job, so it wasn't full-time, it was full-time, sorry, but it was bank work, which means I wasn't on a permanent contract, so that they could have, it was a bit like temporary working. And then I interviewed and I got a full-time band 5 job within the same team. And then a band 6 job came up in a different trust. So I moved to Whittington Health Trust, where I stayed up until I was doing some maternity cover band 7 posts, where I got to experience working in secondary schools and also doing some project work. So I was working in schools, but more with the teachers than one-to-one with students. And I was looking at communication as a whole, looking at the environment, how kind of what teaching styles work for children, for those who are kind of neurotypical, but also the children who have speech, language and communication needs. And that could be anything from autism to a specific language impairment, to developmental language disorder, to learning difficulties, anything under the big wide umbrella of SLCN, as we call it. And then, as you can see in this kind of table here, there are so many ways in getting up to the kind of leadership place as you progress during your AHP career. And all opportunities are the same across the different AHP professions. You just have a different special knowledge that you're bringing to the table when you're moving, if you do want to work towards that kind of leadership role. So you have obviously your professional and clinical foundations, your own behaviours and your characteristics and what that adds to. Those opportunities, so being a mentor, speaking to a mentor, just kind of the different projects you work on, the different ways you take on your job and the kind of roles that you play in your team. It's all about how you end up being a part of your team and what that looks like. And then you've got leadership roles, it kind of adds up to there. And I actually did some leadership courses which trusts are really good at supporting your professional development. It's called CPD, Continuous Professional Development. And there's always opportunities to learn and try out new things throughout your career. Okay, so there are three. So I will send these slides as well, or Julia has the slides, so she might be sending them out. But if you just note these 3 different kind of websites, you've got iseethedifference.co.uk, you've got healthcareers.nhs.uk, and there's one specifically around allied health professionals, and you've also got Step into the NHS. So hopefully you guys have already heard of these and might have even already had a look at them. But yeah, just great place to go and find out some more about the different professions and what they all mean. So the type of learning you can do to work your way into the life of an AHP. So I guess there's two different formats, and the second one is very much under development. But the first one is a degree. So if you already have a degree, you can do a master's or a PG diploma, postgraduate diploma. If you've never had a degree before, you can do usually a Bachelor of Science, and they may be 2 or 3 years, depending on the university and depending on the course. Excuse me. So I actually, when I did my BSc Speech and Language Therapy, it was actually 4 years at that time, but they have now changed all the courses across the UK to make them all 3 years and kind of cram it into that time span. But there's various opportunities at the different universities on what you get from that degree or that master's, and every single one of the AHP degrees will have a certain element of placement. So I, in my degree, in my first year, we didn't do any of it. That's because it was 4 years. Now in their first year, there's a 5-week placement in the summer term. There is a day a week. So speech and language therapy is a bit different from the others. Quite often there's a day a week of placement for October through to April, pretty much, with Christmas obviously off. And that speech and language therapy is the only one that I know that does that. Other AHP professions do whole chunks of blocks of placement. So usually 5-6 weeks placements. Dietetics used to be up to 14 weeks. They're doing it a bit differently now because of COVID. They're doing a lot of virtual things within London Metropolitan University. They have labs, and they kind of put some money into doing some things that they could do at university as part of the placement. So yeah, that's the degree option. And then you've got the apprenticeship option, which can take 2 or 4 years, depending on your current role or your previous roles. The apprenticeships comes up through a trust in collaboration with a university. Sorry, just a second. So yeah, so for example, at NELFT, we are currently supporting occupational therapy apprenticeships. We have 9 people currently undertaking that. 4 of them are in their first year and 5 of them are in their second year now. And they are both taking 4 years, and they're in collaboration with the University of Coventry, which might sound crazy, but because of COVID, we can everything university-based is online. Those people all were currently working within NELFT. They had different roles, such as rehabilitation assistants or healthcare assistants. Maybe they were working already within an occupational therapy team, and then they wanted to become an occupational therapist, and this way they can earn money as well as learning on the job, but it does take a little bit longer. So yeah, they have, for the different terms, they have 1 day of university a week, and then they just do their normal job for the rest of the week. And then they also have blocks of placement that are usually within the same trust, and 1 placement will be outside. So in the first year of that occupational therapy apprenticeship, it was all university based, so just all 1 day a week university. And then in the second year, they have 2 lots of 5-week placements, which we'll be working out in the next few weeks. So if anyone wants to know more about the apprenticeship kind of option, please do let me know, and I can also get you in touch with our apprenticeship lead, who is Katie Francis, who is absolute expert on the whole process, and she herself is an occupational therapist. And our physiotherapy apprenticeship is linking up with University of East London, so a little bit closer to home, but it's exactly the same, so everything kind of is online at the moment still. Okay, just a little bit of a map across London about the different degrees, different AHP courses that there are. So just have a quick look at that whilst I take some more water. So they are spread pretty far and wide, and there's lots of different opportunities in lots of different areas of London. Also in the top corner there, we've got Essex University, who do physio, SLT and OT courses. Those are all undergraduate. We've got Canterbury Christ Church University that does I think that does speech and language therapy and a lot of the nursing degrees, and then the University of East Anglia that do speech and language therapy too. Okay. So placements. So this is my kind of role, and this is what I know lots about. And the reason that you have to be on a placement during your learning cycle is to help you remember and help you learn. So there's lots of different quotes here and lots of different theories, but I think the main one is what retention means. So 10%, we retain 10% of what we see, we retain 30% of what we see and hear, and we retain 90% of what we see, hear and do. So if you think about any kind of school lesson, what are the lessons where you remember the most? Are they school trips? Probably, because you're learning whilst you're out and about, and you're probably doing things and kind of experiencing the whole thing at the same time. Which is why my favourite subject was always history, because we used to go on lots of trips, and so yeah, I got to experience it as well as learn about it as I went along. So yeah, that's why placements are really important within the AHP professions. So just a very quick quiz, and you guys can use the chat option. Hopefully that will work for us. I want you guys to tell me which AHP is this. So they draw on their knowledge of both theatre, drama and therapy to use performance arts as a medium for psychological therapy. So this is just a quick kind of refresher. Do you know which AHP that is? So either shout it out or write it in the chat. Not that I can see the chat actually.
I can, Sarah, and Aaron's just put art therapist is his answer.
Any other? Thanks, Rachel. Any other answers?
Fahida, Alicia, if you'd just like to give a little guess in the chat, I can read that out for Sarah.
If not, we will put them out of their misery.
Let's do that, Sarah.
Drama therapist. Very close with art therapist though. So the key here was just theatre and drama. But art therapy too is a psychological therapy. Quite often they have a split kind of personality, because they definitely fall under an allied health profession, but they also link very closely with psychologists and psychological services. So sometimes they have a conflict of interest, but they're great. And yeah, they're really, really specialists. And I have worked with drama therapists and art therapists when I was working in a pupil referral unit. And yeah, the things that they can do with young people is amazing, as well as older people. So a lot of our art therapists in NELFT work with older people teams. So yeah, they're pretty cool. Okay, next one. This was a tricky one. They use a number of non-invasive treatments such as touch, physical manipulation, stretching and massage to restore bodily equilibrium. This was a tricky one. I feel a bit mean for doing this one, especially as I haven't given you the list of AHPs.
Yeah, this is a hard one, Sarah. We haven't got any typers in the chat yet, so I think we might all. Oh no, Aaron's coming. Aaron's coming up with an answer. Well done, Aaron. You're beating me. I wouldn't have a clue. I'll let you know once it pops up, Sarah.
Okay. And the only reason I did this one is because I once got referred to one and they were very good.
Oh, Aaron's responded, made me laugh. Physiotherapists, question mark? I have no clue, to be honest.
That is very close. It's
the
next thing along to a physio, and it's an osteopath. So osteopaths kind of twist you and turn you, and physiotherapists work more on muscles. Osteopaths are kind of more general, as it says, like equilibrium, centering, restoring your body a bit more. Okay, and the last one. This should be a nice, easy one to finish. They're the only nutrition professionals to be regulated by law and are governed by an ethical code to ensure they always work to the highest standard. Always work to the highest standard. There's only one word in there actually that is the Q. is the clue.
Aaron's come up with an answer. Well done, Aaron. Dietitian? Question mark.
Yay, well done.
Good work.
Another one for me. Ah, yes, dietitian. Well done. Yeah. So as a speech and language therapist, not me, because I never worked with adults, but quite often they worked very closely with dietitians in adult settings, so in stroke or with neurological conditions such as Parkinson's. But dietitians work completely across the board, which is the same as speech and language therapists, really. But yeah, they can kind of end up working with anyone and everyone in lots of different settings that you probably wouldn't even think of. There will be a dietitian there. Okay, all right.